Hello, good friends, and welcome to a Monday night edition, late night. We're recording this around 10:24, right after the Wolves and Mavericks game got over. Edition of the 10,000 Lives podcast. I'm Kyle Radke here with Julian Andrews. Julian, tough one in Dallas tonight.
Yeah, I was hoping that this we'd get the late night pod energy up with the win, kind of ride the adrenaline situation, but instead we're talking about a loss. But yeah, it's a bummer. I don't know, kind of a weird end of the game.
Yeah, super weird.
A bunch of calls that felt like wrong, but neither team particularly benefited more than the other, really. So I guess it's kind of a wash.
Yeah, it was a really weird game. It was the first game, and I hate to say this, but it was the first game that I actually felt like Beverly's intensity was actually he had that. Sorry, my cat's trying to join the pod. He had the play where he stole it from, and whatever. I'm not saying anything crazy here. Beverly is certainly he's a huge reason why the team is. But it was the first game where I kind of felt like he was just a little much at the end, and it actually kind of took away from he had that steal on Luka, and he hit that three, which was huge. But just at the end of the game, I just thought his energy was actually kind of it took away from what the Wolves probably needed. It was a calming voice and not an erratic guy screaming in the last minute and a half.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I don't know. I guess you kind of take the good with the bad, right? I'm almost hesitant to criticize, but the biggest problem is that the Wolves kept giving up corner threes, and to good 100%. Shooters and open threes at the top of the key, and you can't do that. And that's kind of the main thing.
And Luka did not have a good game. 5 for 17, 15 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. He had 8 turnovers. Really nice job with the Wolves playing defense on him. But they did such a nice job of, keeping him in front and forcing him to take bad shots. But then at the end of the game, it was Ant kind of came out and reached, and then I think it led to a Bullock three.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Luka does his damage. He plays so slow that he gets defenders to be impatient, and then they try to make a move on the ball, and then he's able to go past him. And I think he did it on Towns late in the game too. So again, you're in Dallas against a really good Dallas team, and you lose by 2. I don't want to
it's not. And they were record this podcast the whole time.
Yeah, and if we record this podcast yesterday, our tune is totally different. I think it's just a disappointing game because it was just so winnable.
It was totally it was there for the taking, and also just contextually it was really important. And they'll be fine. The Wolves will be okay even though they lost. But just the good news is would have been a really good one to have.
I agree. I agree with you. It would have been nice. The good news is the Wolves have the Mavericks again on Wednesday in Minnesota. So you think Luka? Wednesday. You think the Luke or the Luka? No, I think it's the Mavericks on Wednesday, and then the Suns on Wednesday, Mavs on Friday.
Yeah.
Both at home. And I think if you're looking at it from you can really, if you're either fan base, you can make a case why you're going to win on Friday. If you're the Mavericks, you say, well, Luka's not going to go 5 for 17 and 3 for 11 from the 3-point line. And if you're the Wolves, you're saying, well, we're probably going to get more than 59. Well, I guess 59 points combined is fine, but 59 combined points from Edwards, Towns, and Russell. Russell was kind of non-existent in that fourth quarter. Overall, Towns played a fine game, 22 points, 8 rebounds. Plus 11. It was just watching the game. It was very playoff basketball at the end of the game because everything was moving so fast and neither team could seem to slow down to catch itself, except for the Mavericks did. They were able to hit those huge corner threes.
I was gonna say, don't you feel like if this is a home game, it's a win?
Yeah, because I think, and you think if one of those, I think Edwards had 2 layups that were in and out, and Noel had a layup. Right? So you think about that. That's 6 points right there.
And Pat almost hit that layup at the end.
And
The
And you
3-point
think
shot, which he hit to tie it, Luka did not touch him.
Yeah, and you think if one of those 2-point shots, one of those layups, like Beverly doesn't need to miss the free throw, and
Yep.
blah blah blah. And I love Luka. I'm a huge Luka fan. And whatever you can talk about if he whines to the refs or whatever. It's like, well, he pays for it too. He has the most texts in the league. Yeah. Man, he does play really loosey goosey with that ball sometimes. And like, I know he had 8 turnovers, and like even that kickball by D'Angelo Russell, which the Wolves got lucky on. It seemed like that
was definitely a kickball.
It was a kickball for sure. But it's like, even for Luka to get in that position, it's almost like he goes into every possession being like, I'm going to play my style. You're not going to steal the ball from me. And then they steal it. And it's like, oh, well, why did you go in so nonchalant? And like, that was really weird.
Totally. Yeah.
All right. Well, tough loss. We don't have to dissect the whole game, but we'll go to the standings quick. Wolves, they were in 6th place going into today with the tiebreaker over the Nuggets, because the Nuggets lost a surprising game to I think they lost to the Cavs.
Yeah. Cavs, yep.
And then maybe another game too in there. But the Wolves are now 2.5 games back from the Mavericks. Would have been a huge game because they were only a game and a half back to start. But they slide back to 7, and now they're a half game back from Denver. Still 6 games up on the Clippers. And like I said before, 2 tough games coming up. You have the Suns at home on Wednesday, and then the Mavericks at home on Friday.
Chris Paul might be back.
And Chris Paul might be back, of course, right? We go from the team that like catches all the breaks, and now it seems like, Chris Paul's coming back. I'm gonna Julian, you're going.
Yeah.
That's good for you. That'll be a fun game.
Fun. Yep. Girlfriend's a Suns fan because big Ayton fan.
Big Ayton fan.
Yeah.
Might be the only girlfriend in the world. It's just like, I'm a huge Suns fan because I'm a big Ayton fan.
It all comes down to fantasy basketball.
It's not like Devin Booker and his good looks, or Chris Paul and that like he's a vegan. It's
no.
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, because he's one of the cornerstones of her fantasy basketball team.
It's a good reason to like a player. I'll say that. There's worse reasons. 538 record projections have the Wolves finishing 47-35, 2 games back from the Nuggets, 3 back from the Mavericks, for whatever this is worth, and 7 games up on the Clippers, which brings me to a question. And I know how I feel on this, but a buddy of mine in my group chat, we talk Wolves pretty much all the time. Again, not you.
Sure.
But it's good. Then it actually brings me a lot of good points to talk to you about.
That's good. We both just aggregate the good points from our friends. Say them on the pod and take credit.
They don't actually get credit. It was funny because this same friend, the last question he asked was, who would we rather play, the Warriors or Grizzlies?
Yeah.
If you're like the 3 seed or and he like just sent me the video. He's like, haha. And it's
listen. If you want your unfounded opinions on the internet, start a podcast.
Yeah. And rival us.
That's how it works. Yeah, let's go.
And lose a friend. So like, I think Wolves fans went from like going into the season loving the play-in tournament. And now if you're a Wolves fan, like, you probably hate it because you're like, wait, we're the 7th seed. We are only 6 games back from the 3rd seed, and we're 6 games up on the 8th seed. Like, how does it make sense that we might have to play if we lose to the Clippers, you have to play, like, you could miss out on the playoffs basically. Should there be some sort of like stipulation or rule that if you're like so many games up on, a certain seed, or you're closer to X seed, then I don't know what it is, but like, let's say, for example, because I don't think the Wolves are like quite extreme enough for this to like really work. Well, I mean, like, the Raptors are in the same exact position though. Like, I guess they're only 4.5 games up. I take that back. But like, let's say the Wolves were 44 and 30 right now, right? And like the next team behind them was like 8 games behind. And like they ended up 10 games ahead of the 8th place seed, or whatever it is. Like, is there a scenario where like you're like, no, this team's like too good, they shouldn't be the 7th seed? Or that's I don't know.
I mean, I have
my thoughts.
My perspective on the play-in game is, and always will be, if you are a 7th or 8th seed and you cannot beat either the 9th or 10th seed once at home, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Like I don't know. I do not feel that I understand why people are upset about this. But I don't think you can kind of have it both ways. I think the play-in tournament's a good thing. I mean, right, there's no scenario where you're the 7th or 8th seed and you'd miss the playoffs unless you lose
both games.
2 at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the 8th seed, you'd play the first game on the road. And then the
Really?
second game you'd play at home. Yeah,
Oh,
because
right, because
you'd
it's the
be playing the
7th and the
7th
8th
seed.
seeds that play each other.
Yeah.
Right. Still, you have 2 opportunities.
I actually I agree 100%. Like like it sucks, but you can't think of it really as how it used to be anymore. You can't think of it as like, yeah, it used to be the top 8 seeds and now this is what it is. It's like, nope, now it's the top 6 seeds and then now the 4 teams after that play.
I guess,
and
yeah. The format is not perfect because I would prefer
like 7 versus 10,
7, 10, and 8 and 9, and then if the 7th and 8th seeds win, it's over. And if one of them wins and one of them loses, I'm not confusing
basically
myself.
no, I mean, basically it kind of is what it is now. Basically, the 7th and 8th seed are like they're kind of the double elimination teams.
Exactly.
Where the
like
9
9th
and
10th
seed
only need to lose once. Like if the 9 and 10 loses one game, they're out. The 7th and 8th have to,
and that's kind of what it is now. It just sucks that the 7th and 8th seed, one of the losses would come against
the other one. It's like it's
seed.
weird to me that the 7th and 8th seeds have to play one another.
Yeah,
and I think that's fair. Whatever. Yeah, if you're, I mean, 8 seeds are not successful in the playoffs, like historically either. So like, I don't know. It's just I just kind of feel like you should have to win your games. Like, I know that the playoffs are a 7-game series, but like the right team usually wins in those games. And I think that having 2 games, like if you have 2 games where you kind of lose on a fluke in a row, like I think the odds of that happening are pretty low. And also like they're kind of worth it for the excitement that the play-in games bring to the league.
Totally. And think about this. Like, I mean, I think last year it was more the case of teams trying to get to that 10th seed. This year, the playoffs are basically set. The Spurs are 2 games back from the Pelicans, but it seems like the Pelicans will hang on. Now it's about the 7th seeds trying to get to the 6th seed because they don't want to play in the play-in. Like if you look in the East, you have the Raptors. The Raptors are a game back from the Cavs, and the Cavs have been struggling. They lost to the Lakers tonight. And then you go to the West, and the Wolves are a half game back from the Nuggets. So you have these like, and then like then you go to the East too, and you have the Nets. They're only a game back from the Hornets. So basically the Nets are like, we want to play a game at home if we do lose that first play-in. And then you have the Lakers and Pelicans that the Lakers are a game up on the Pelicans. Suddenly, if the Pelicans surpass the Lakers, you're not playing at Staples Center anymore. You're playing in New Orleans. And if you lose that game, you're done. So yeah, I mean, we're in mid-March right now, and we're talking about
exactly
things that we wouldn't be talking about normally, and nobody would care. The Wolves would be like, whether we're the 7th seed, nobody really like whether we're playing the Grizzlies or the Warriors. We're not really too worried about it, but it's whether we can get in or not.
It has added a level of drama to the end of the NBA season, and it's done its job in making more teams have incentive to win. Right? Yep. Like, I don't know. I understand why it's hard to be a fan of a team that's in the play-in game because it just feels like really we're going to lose our whole season on this, but also like talk to teams that have been in the playoffs a lot. That's exactly how they feel after they lose a playoff series.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think that they're fun. And it's, it's nerve wracking, but like, that's why sports are fun, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen and it's nerve wracking and you have to root for your team. Like you want your team to play in high stakes games.
Yeah.
Like that's the fun of sports. So I'm very pro play-in, even though it sucks that the Wolves do like 12 games out of the 10 seed.
In this particular situation, it's not great for the Wolves. Yeah. But like next year or 2 years from now or whatever, like it's going to be like similar to the Lakers, right? When the Lakers were the 7th seed and LeBron hated the play-in. And now it's like the play-in's like his only saving grace to save a shitty season. All right, Julian, is your bracket busted? Is your bracket still good?
I have Arizona and Gonzaga in the finals, so it's not like totally busted.
Yeah, you're
But
fine.
it's not. I didn't do very well in the early rounds, but I don't think anybody ever does. So,
Well, my bracket is completely busted. I think I had Iowa, I had Tennessee, I just had a bunch of weird picks that I thought would pay off. They didn't. But maybe your picks can pay off. College basketball fans, join the action on the court during the biggest turn of the year with DraftKings Sportsbook. Turn your team's victory into your own big win. New customers can bet $5 on any team and get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. If they win, you win. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win with promo code TBPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 plus, restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, Julian, we have news around the league. A team that certainly needs some help. They slid to fifth in the standings in a very competitive Eastern Conference. The Bulls are getting Patrick Williams, who was the number 4 pick forward that was going to slot right into that power forward slot. Huge miss for them this year, but they're getting him back. That's good. Good news.
Yeah, it is. I don't think we should overreact.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, definitely helpful to have another body. Hopefully he's kind of fresh, even though he's coming back from an injury. So he'll have to. It's like one of those things where he'll weirdly have to get in shape, but then he'll also have more like fresher legs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope he's back and he's good because he played really well and he was fun to watch and I like him and he should make the Bulls better. I don't know. I still think the Bulls could be scary in the playoffs.
Yeah, right now they are
play the Celtics, which would be tough.
They play the Celtics right now, which would be tough. But really, anybody you play, you look.
There's no easy.
Yeah,
there's no easy team in the league. Yep.
If you're not in the top 4, it's like you're playing the Heat, the 76ers, the Bucks, or the Celtics.
I definitely want the Heat of those teams. I have to.
Yeah,
say.
right. And the Heat are the number 1 seed, and they're probably going to get it. Yeah, Williams last year 9 points, 5 rebounds, shot really well. 39% from the 3-point line, only 2 attempts, but yeah, I think that's actually a pretty big deal because it's mid-March and what's going to happen is he's going to get his legs underneath him right before playoffs. And hopefully he'll feel good. Jamal Crawford has retired. I think he played his last full season with the Timberwolves. And then I think he played with the Nets during like that weird bubble season. 3-time 6th man of the year award winner. 19,419 points. Yeah, when he was with the Wolves, he wasn't very great on the court, but he was really good to us. I got to.
He was great I liked watching him on the Blazers too when I was in high school.
Yeah, I suppose.
Pacific Northwest guy too, like kind of from the same legacy as Brandon Roy, who obviously Blazers great. I grew up, my favorite player growing up, and then signed Jamal. It was kind of sad because we signed him to play with Brandon Roy just as Roy's knees were deteriorating and he had to retire. But yeah, he was always really fun to watch. The highlight reels of Jamal, like maybe the greatest, and I say this with all due respect, like maybe the greatest like difference between his like highlight reels and how good he actually was on the court. Like he was really good. He was a great scorer. He's not a good defender, like really, really bad defender. But his highlight reels, just like the eye test, he just looks incredible. Like if you had never watched basketball before and you saw Jamal Crawford play, you would just be like, "This is the best player in the NBA."
Well, from 2002 until 2018, he scored double-digit points per game.
Yeah,
average, right?
Right.
And that is the thing with him. And like I stand corrected, he played 2017-18 with the Wolves. Then in 2018-19, in his very last game with the Suns, he scored 51 points. When he was 38 years old. Right. Yeah, and I remember people would ask him about analytics and like shots he should take or shouldn't take, and he was just like kind of like, I don't believe in analytics. I play the game. But then you look at the numbers and you're like, yeah, but you should really look at these numbers because
he really would have been way better if he had believed in analytics because he could have turned into like a kind of an elite spot up guy. But what can you do?
Hell of a career for him though.
For real. Yeah.
Weird time to retire.
Yeah, he was like just on a team, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was. I like last year he played with the Nets for one game.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know
like
if he.
there. I saw him in the news for some other reason. I don't remember.
Um,
But yeah, it's weird to announce your retirement when
I agree.
you're not on a team.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, yeah, Jamal, you are effectively retired.
Yeah, it's like I haven't really heard about you in 2 years. Great guy though, great
Oh
guy,
yeah,
and congrats on a fantastic career.
totally.
Friend of the pod. I interviewed him right after he, like on media day or whatever. He's like a Facebook Live video. You can probably find it, and he was just
Hmm.
like so awesome. He was so
And then he
so cool.
told you to change your Twitter avatar, which had him in it, because it was
He
too
it
old.
did, yeah, it
Not
did
because he
have
was mad about it. He was just like, really, Kyle, you haven't changed. Like, I've been in your Twitter avatar for
for 6 years.
6 years,
No, that's not true. He did.
4
He might
years.
have said that. Yeah. Steph Curry expects to be back from the by the playoffs. He has a sprained left foot. He's hopeful and confident that he can come back before the playoffs. With 12 games left in the regular season, Curry asked if he would be back. Yeah, we've got enough time for that, but I'm an optimist. He said before Golden State's game against the Spurs. I mean, this is kind of like the report of like,
Who knows?
so and so had a successful surgery. Well, yeah, like Steph Curry, hopeful he can come back before the playoffs. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, me too.
I bet the Warriors are too.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I'm not hopeful about the Warriors without him, so he better come
I
back.
I agree. You think about like the first round matchup, the Warriors and Nuggets. It's like, yeah,
Give me
kind
the
of with
Nuggets.
yeah without Curry, I really kind of like um I really like the Nuggets.
Well, it's really seeming like Jamal Murray is not going to come back.
Yeah, same with Porter, right? He
Yep.
started to play games. I don't know. Maybe I made that up.
I don't know. I haven't read about that, but I know that they were saying they're kind of preparing for Jamal to not be back, which makes sense. I mean, if I were the Nuggets, I would. I mean, this Jokic is obviously on another level, but he's still young, and
Yeah, two different reports. Jamal
yeah,
Murray, Michael Porter Jr. not close to return. The next report, Michael Porter Jr. targeting return date before playoffs. So we'll see.
yeah,
All right, Julian. Well, that's all we got. We'll be back later this week, probably on Thursday after the Wolves and Suns play, and then we'll get one in before the Wolves and the Mavericks play.
for sure.
And we got our 3-star sports card corridor. I gotta head there. We're gonna do maybe we'll do like a pack battle or something. We'll do like Donruss versus
I don't know
another
what that
pack, and
means. Oh,
I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just like
We'll figure out what it means. We'll let the
yeah.
people know, and then we'll do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Julian.
Cool. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we will talk to you next time.